It's Friday, November 22nd, 2024. Out with the old AG nominee, in with the new. This ain't MAGA country. And devout Catholic Biden update next on the AM Update. Yesterday, former Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz announced he's withdrawing his name from consideration to serve as Attorney General. He wrote in a post on social media, quote, "I had excellent meetings with senators yesterday. I appreciate their thoughtful feedback and the incredible support of so many. While the momentum was strong, it was clear my confirmation was unfairly becoming a distraction to the critical work of the Trump-Vance transition." Matt Gaetz stepping aside in his pursuit of Attorney General of the United States. There were rumored to be 4 senators who were not going to vote for Matt Gaetz no matter what. Mitch McConnell of Kentucky was one, Lisa Murkowski, Alaska, Susan Collins, the other one, and then I can't even remember the name of Mitt Romney's replacement out in Utah. Those were rumored to be the 4 hard no votes for Matt Gaetz, meaning he might have come up just a vote short. Nevertheless, he's stepping aside, and just a few hours later, Donald Trump announced former Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi is going to be his next pick for Attorney General of the United States. Trump wrote on Truth Social, quote, "Pam was a prosecutor for nearly 20 years where she was very tough on violent criminals and made the streets safe for Florida families. Then, as Florida's first female Attorney General, she worked to stop the trafficking of deadly drugs and reduce the tragedy of fentanyl overdose deaths, which have destroyed many families across our country." Now, I'm not sure, I don't know much about Pam Bondi, but if you asked MSNBC contributor Jason Johnson his thoughts, he'll tell you he's scared.
Pam Bondi is exactly what I was saying in the last segment that we should all fear, because she's competent. We may not agree with her ideologically, but she actually knows how to do this job. So if anyone on the Democratic side or anyone who cared about liberty or justice was thinking, well, maybe Matt Gaetz will screw this up and that'll give us some time. No, Pam Bondi knows what she's doing. She knows what she's doing about immigration. Remember, Florida is one of those states that's been very aggressive about migrants and deportation and moving people to different states and everything else like that. Florida has enacted all sorts of rules and laws to curtail students and what they can do on campuses and finding legal justifications for manipulating education.
So that is MSNBC, or left-wing MSNBC contributor Jason Johnson saying, yeah, if you are on the left, you should be afraid. That's what he said. You should fear Pam Bondi because she's actually competent. So a whirlwind day when it comes to Attorney General of the United States. This is not MAGA country. The other big news yesterday was the Illinois Supreme Court overturned actor Jussie Smollett's hate crime hoax conviction. Smollett, black and gay, reported to Chicago police back in 2019 he was the victim of a racist and homophobic attack by 2 men wearing ski masks. Smollett recalled at the time the incident that never happened in this now infamous interview with ABC News.
I see the attacker masked, and he said, "This MAGA country punches me right in the face." So I punched the back, and then we started tussling. It was very icy, and we ended up tussling by the stairs, fighting. There was a second person involved who was kicking me in my back.
Yeah, that was all made up. He hired 2 people to help him stage that fake hate crime. When that hoax fell apart, Smollett was charged, and those charges were originally dropped. After Special Prosecutor Kim Foxx requested a new inquiry, the Empire star was convicted on 5 felony counts and later sentenced to 150 days in county jail. The Illinois Supreme Court decided Thursday that the special prosecutor's decision to retry Smollett on charges violated his rights. The court wrote in a filing, quote, "Today we resolve a question about the state's responsibility to honor the agreements it makes with defendants. We hold that a second prosecution under these circumstances is a due process violation, and we therefore reverse the defendant's conviction." The court went on to call it a vindictive prosecution. So, in this country, at least in the state of Illinois, you can stage, green light, you can stage a fake hate crime against yourself. You can stage it, just totally hoax it, and there will be no repercussions whatsoever. That's the message the Illinois Supreme Court made yesterday. Unbelievable. Actually, I laughed. I laughed when I saw this story. I was just like, let the freak flag fly in blue states. Just let them go. Let them run all the way to Sodom. Just let them go. Just let them go. Although I hope you don't live in a blue state that's going on in. Also this week, you probably heard Speaker Mike Johnson ruled that only men can use men's rooms and women's rooms and locker rooms on Capitol Hill. He said in a statement, quote, "All single-sex facilities at the Capitol and House office buildings, such as restrooms, changing rooms, and locker rooms, are reserved for individuals of that biological sex. It's important to note that each member office has its own private restroom, and unisex restrooms are available throughout the Capitol. Women deserve women's-only spaces." Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Congresswoman from New York, says Speaker Johnson is literally killing people.
It's disgusting, and everybody, no matter how you feel on this issue, should reject it completely. What are they doing? They're doing this so that Nancy Mace can make a buck and send a text and fundraise off an email. They're not doing this to protect people. They're endangering women. They're endangering girls of all kinds, and everybody should reject it. It's gross. Thank you.
Yes. Protecting women's spaces is endangering women of all kinds. I don't know what the all kinds thing means. That's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez for you. The FBI has arrested Haroon Abdul-Malik Yeaner, a 30-year-old from Coral Springs, Florida. That's not where he's originally from, I'm guessing, for allegedly plotting to bomb the New York Stock Exchange. According to court documents, Yeaner is charged with attempting to use an explosive to damage a building involved with interstate commerce. The FBI received a tip about bomb-making schematics stored in an unlocked storage unit. An affidavit revealed that Yeaner described his plan as creating destruction akin to a quote-unquote small nuke, intending to kill everyone inside the building and devastate the surrounding area. He allegedly planned to detonate an improvised explosive device outside the New York Stock Exchange the week before Thanksgiving. Agents report that Yeaner's motive was to trigger a quote-unquote reset of the U.S. government. Check out this story also out of New York.
A smiling Brandon Somoza being led out of the Midtown South precinct on West 35th Street this morning. Police say at about 2 a.m. Sunday, he robbed a 38-year-old woman in the hallway of her Hell's Kitchen apartment building. He allegedly grabbed her purse, cell phone, and bank cards and also performed a lewd act. The victim is a Manhattan assistant DA. She was not injured. Police traced her stolen cell phone to a hotel on West 45th Street, which led them to believe the suspect is a migrant, and they were able to track him down. Somoza was arrested just last night. Police say he was using drugs on the street and had stolen items with him. Police believe he is part of Tren de Aragua. That's the Venezuelan gang that has preyed on people in Times Square and Central Park.
What can you say? What can you say at this point? I mean, this entire political cycle kicked off with Alvin Bragg, district attorney there in New York City. Kicked off with Alvin Bragg bringing about what was it, 92, 94 specious felony indictments against Donald Trump for being Donald Trump on a cloudy day. That was basically what he was charged with. And now this political cycle, at least this year, is winding down with one of Open Borders' Alvin Bragg's assistant prosecutors came home to find an illegal immigrant jacking off in her hallway before robbing her. That's how the year's ending. I don't know. It's cosmic. And finally, legendary economist Milton Friedman has been going viral this week. Why is that? Well, in a 1999 interview, he gave the basic blueprint for what Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are embarking upon with the Department of Government Efficiency. Here is that interview where, like I said, this is the model that Elon Musk and Vivek need to follow.
14 is a lot for television, so I want to just go right down the list quickly and have you give me a thumbs up or thumbs down. Keep them or abolish them. Department of Agriculture.
Abolish.
Gone. Department of Commerce.
Abolish.
Gone. Department of Defense.
Keep.
Keep it. Department of Education.
Abolish.
Gone. Energy.
Abolish. Except that energy ties in with the military.
Well, then we shove it under defense.
That's
the little
right.
bit that handles the nuclear,
right, that ought to go under
plutonium
defense.
and so forth goes under defense, but we abolish the rest of it. Health and Human Services?
There is room for some public health activities to prevent contagion. such a thing as, for example...
So you'd keep the National Institutes of Health, say, and the Center for Disease Control down in Atlanta?
No, not the National Institute.
Oh, no?
Those are mostly research agencies. No. That's a question of whether the government should be involved in financing research.
And the answer is no.
Well, that's a very complicated issue, and it's not an easy answer with respect to that.
We'll eliminate half of the Department of Health and Human Services?
Like that.
Okay, one half. There we go. Housing and Urban Development?
Out.
Oh, didn't even pause over that one. Department of the Interior?
Oh, well, but Housing and Urban Development has done an enormous amount of harm. My God. If you think of the way in which they've destroyed parts of cities under the rubric of eliminating slums.
Jack Kemp.
You know, you remember Martin Anderson wrote a book on the federal bulldozer describing the effect of the urban development. There have been many more dwelling units torn down in the name of public housing than have been built.
Jack Kemp has proposed selling to the current inhabitants of public housing their unit, their townhouse, their apartment for $1 a piece, and just shifting the ownership to the people who live in it.
If you got rid of the Department of Housing and Urban Development, it would be worth doing that.
All right, done. That's gone. Department of the Interior, your beloved National Park Service.
Well, given the problem there is, you first have to sell off all the land that the government owns. But that's what you should do.
But it could be done pretty quickly.
It could be done. You should do that. There's no reason for the government to own. The government now owns something like 1/3 of all the land in the country.
And that's too much. Should go down to zero.
Should go down to, well, not entirely zero. They ought to own the land on which government buildings are.
Okay, terrific. Department of Justice.
Oh, yes.
Keep that one.
Keep that one.
Labor.
No.
Gone. State.
Keep.
Keep it. Transportation.
Gone.
Gone. The Treasury?
You have to keep it to collect taxes.
All right, collect taxes through the Treasury. Veterans Affairs?
You can regard the Veteran Affairs as a way of paying essentially salaries for services of those who have been in the armed force. But you ought to be able to get rid of it.
You should be able to pay it off.
Pay it off.
Pay off lump sums, perhaps.
That's right.
And just get rid of it. Okay, Milton Friedman, if you are made dictator for one day, the next day the American government...
No, I don't want to be made dictator.
You wouldn't?
I don't believe in dictators.
Okay.
I believe we want to bring about change by the agreement of the citizens. I don't believe in arbitrary rule.
Let me put it this way then.
If we can't persuade the public that it's desirable to do these things, we have no right to impose them, even if we had the power to do it.
All right. From 14 departments down to four
basic
and a half.
fundamental functions. What are its fundamental functions? Preserve the peace, defend the country.
All right.
Provide a mechanism whereby individuals can adjudicate their disputes. That's the Justice Department. Protect individuals from being coerced by other individuals. The police function.
Right.
And now, this is both the central government and the state and local governments. The police function is primarily local and central.
Right.
And those are the fundamental functions of government, in my opinion.
Milton Friedman, thank you very much.
So that is a 1999 interview with legendary economist Milton Friedman. Folks, it's just that easy. If the Department of Government Efficiency that Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk are embarking upon, if their suggestions, whenever they make them, are taken up, if even half of their suggestions are actually followed through with, and they follow the kind of pattern, outline, model, blueprint, whatever you want to call it, that Milton Friedman lays out there, if they even follow half of that, hell, even a quarter, that would be a huge win. Get the government back to what it's supposed to be in 4 easy steps. That'll do it for this Friday and this week. Thanks for hanging out with me. Oh, I forgot to say as well, thanks for understanding yesterday morning. Under the weather Wednesday night, and so I needed some extra rest. So appreciate you giving me doing me a solid there. Back tomorrow with Bella for No Suck Saturday for all of our Apple Podcast paid subscribers. For the rest of you, see you again on Monday.